All right, check it out. This is a 2001 Bayou 220. Thing is pretty small, but it looks to be in pretty good condition. The plastics, at least. Picked this thing up for 700 bucks. Probably paid a little bit too much for it, considering it's not a 4x4. But the plastics were in excellent condition, and the seat didn't have any rips, so I figured it must have been taken care of pretty good. But basically, try to turn this thing on. Doesn't start with the start button. Oh, let's see. I don't think it... Yeah, and the choke mechanism isn't there either. Looks like it's missing the choke cable. Lights work. I think they do. Yeah, there we go. That light works. That light I think is burnt out. You can see there's like, yeah, the bulb right there is in there still. So I think that's burnt out. Let's see. What else? This thing has reverse. Right here. Looks like you just twist that knob in. I don't know where that goes down to. Oh, right there. Looks like it goes to that cable down there. You guys can see that. So at least the reverse cable's on there. It's got good compression. Really good compression. Tires are holding air, but they're dry rotted pretty good. You can see. There's a lot of slop in the steering, so we'll have to fix that as well. But the main thing we're going to be doing is getting this thing to run better than it runs now. So it actually does run if you jump the solenoid. I'll start it up here for you in a little bit. Let's see, this is how you open the seat. There's a little latch back here that you pull. Supposedly the seat should come off. There we go. The seat is in excellent condition. Let's see what's going underneath here. Alright, so here's the solenoid that you have to jump. This is for something as well. I don't know what that's for. And it looks like... What's that? Some type of fuse or something? Not too sure. But yeah, for some reason the solenoid isn't working, so we're gonna have to try to test the switch maybe. But yeah, when you click the start button, nothing happens. I ordered up a new solenoid, so we'll see if that works, but nothing's happening. So that's probably the first thing we're gonna look into. Let's check out the air filter in here. Oh yeah, nice little air filter. Not too bad. So that looks pretty good. So I'll start this thing up for you guys, and you can kind of hear it run. It's got a lot of top end noise, but it doesn't smoke. Not too much in there. Let's kind of dip in there and see here. Ooh, pretty black. It hasn't been changed in a while. Smells pretty bad. So that's probably not great. Definitely needs an oil change. Alright, we're gonna jump the solenoid and see if she starts up here. Let's see, gas is going on. kind of hear it. Sounds pretty rough. The top end sounds very noisy. So yeah, you can see it doesn't really run very good. I don't even know if it's getting gassed or anything. So lots of work to do yet on it. It came with some parts. So the previous owner said that these were cables in here. They're just brake shoes. I thought it had different cables in here. Some of those, and then the original carburetors in there, old spark plug. Then right now on it is a twist throttle for some reason. Not really sure why. And then let's see what else does this thing have. The brakes are locked up, so brake cables are locked up, both of them. This one might not be, so we have to get those unstuck or get new cables. So lots of work to do on this thing. Let's first begin by trying to fix the starter button. Since that does not work, I don't want to be jumping the solenoid all the time. So let's work on that first, and then we'll dive into the engine and see if we can get that to run properly. Alright, so here's the solenoid right here. We're gonna quick check and see if the fuse is blown in there. There's a 20 amp fuse, it says right there. So that's probably not blown, but we'll see. It's never that easy, is it? But yeah, these wires carry 12 volts, and what happens is when you click the button up at the front of the quad up there, it sends a 12 volt signal to the solenoid. There's a little metal drum that pops up in there and that connects the bridge. So it's basically acting as a screwdriver, connecting 12 volts to 12 volts over here, sending it down to the starter. We know the starter's fine because when you jump the solenoid, it starts up the machine. So the starter's fine. We're just gonna check and see if the fuse in here is fine. We'll probably have to check the start button and see if that's corroded. This feels pretty gunked up in here though. Oh man, that's gunked. There's a 30 amp fuse in here. It's supposed to be 20 amp, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Does not look like it's blown here. You can see. We're going to test that and see if that's working before we reinstall that. But you can see it's not blown. Alright, I went ahead and threw a new 20 amp fuse in there. The 30 amp checked out, but it doesn't pay to throw an old fuse in there when you have new ones. So let's just see if maybe that was the issue. I'm guessing no, but you never know here. Turning on the machine now. Let's see. And nothing happening. Get this guy off of here. Yeah, it definitely looks pretty gunked up in there. The start button's way down here. So we'll try to spray some WD-40 in there, work it around, and see if we can get that to work. Alright, so switch checks out. I did a continuity test. And then I pushed the start button and then it was sending a signal to the other wire. So we are going to investigate further down into the wiring harness. We've got to take off all this stuff. We've got to take off all this anyway to get to the engine. So plastic pieces have to come off, gas tank has to come off. Get this gas tank off of here. Alright. Now we've got access to everything here. So wiring You can see it goes down into here. So we're gonna kind of investigate where that goes to. And then we'll see why that's not working. And it could just be the solenoid. That's bad too. Alright, so I think I found the problem. I looked in the wires in here. There's a lot of these wires left over, which is kind of weird, all not plugged in. So we're going to cover those up, but those are all grounds for some reason. I don't know, and they don't plug into here because that's a positive, so kind of strange. But we got that light to work as well, so that light's working now. I followed the black wire coming from the start button right here. So the yellow is carrying positive, and when you push the start button, it should send the positive down the black wire. So I followed the black wire all the way down, and that plug was good, so I followed it all the way down through the harness, and it was good all the way up until this point right here. And that one plug-in we saw in the beginning, I was like, what the heck is that? That must be like a fuse of some sort. And the two black wires meet in there, right here, and then it has to get past this in order to get to this black wire. So there's like a loop in the system. So what I did was bypass this thing, connected the black wire in there, and now when you hit the start button, there's power being sent to the solenoid. So that was the problem. I don't know really what this thing is. It must be a fuse of some sort, but it was not working at all. So we're gonna play around with that a little bit. I might tear that open and see what's in there. Alright, we opened up this little switch thing in here. There's actually a little diode right there. You can see the little diode right there. And then I sprayed this out with brake cleaner, and now we're getting a reading between these two posts, which are the black ones. So we'll see if that does anything, but we've got to clean this area out. Alright, so as soon as I plug in this bottom half to the first half of the plug, it stops working. So this part is the problem right here. I don't know exactly what it's for. Since there's a diode in there, I'm guessing it's to limit the voltage going through, but not really sure. It still starts up though without it, so I don't know. Very odd. If anyone knows what that is, let me know in the comments. Alright, so now that we got the switch working over here, we can now check the valves and make sure those are in spec, because we could hear that the engine was pretty rattly. So I'm going to start it up one more time so you guys can hear what it sounds like, and then we'll kind of diagnose, what's going on. Alright, let's start it up, and you guys listen to what this thing sounds like. Huh. Battery's dead. Alright, you can kind of hear it backfiring. And it's popping out of the carburetor. So let's take a look at the valves here next. It looks like our starter went out too. So I had to pull start that. But it just clicks now, the solenoid does. Not really sure why. So we're getting 12 volts to the starter. I think the starter's fried. But yeah, let's get those valve caps off and get this thing to top dead center and see what those valves are at. Alright, this little cap has to come off so we can check timing. And then we're going to rotate the engine over with the pull start and look for the T. I think I just went by it. Oh, there's a mark. I'm going too fast here. hard to see. So many different marks on it. Alright, I'm pretty sure it's just a line in there that looks like that. Just a straight line, no marking next to it. Alright, check the intake valve out. Listen to this. I think there's a little play in there. Look how much that's opening. Jeez. Yeah, that should be like barely opening. Then the exhaust valve is super tight. Intake was loose, the exhaust was tight. The specs for the intake are going to be 0.006 to 0.008 inches, and the exhaust is 0.007 to 0.009. So let's get those set. Alright, well this should make a huge difference with how it runs and sounds in the engine. So let's get some gas in there and attempt to start this thing. It should sound a lot better. Huh, doesn't really sound that much better. So maybe the cam chain is loose as well. So let's get the cover off right here and check how loose that cam chain is. Alright, let's see. It's kind of dirty. Oh, cam chain is tight. Maybe that's just how they are. A little noisy. I mean, it's better, but it's not completely better. Let's just see if timing's on. So that dot should be at the top. Alright, I was able to find the T on the flywheel here. That's what that looks like in there. And look at the timing mark. Timing mark is right there, so it's perfectly in line with the dimple on the sprocket there. So it is perfectly in time. I'm gonna have to readjust the valves because I adjusted the valves to the other line, not the T. I couldn't find the T before, so I adjusted it to the line before that. So let's readjust the valves and hopefully that fixes our noise in the top end. Alright, valves are all adjusted perfectly. Cam chain is tight, so everything should be good. Let's hear what this engine sounds like now. Alright, so the backfiring out of the carb is fixed. doesn't backfire anymore at least, but it's idling really, really high. So I think the slide in the carburetor isn't going down all the way, so we're gonna have to adjust the throttle here and somehow make that go down further. We might actually just put the original carburetor back together and use that one. But yeah, it runs pretty good. There's a little noise in the top end, but everything checks out. The valves are perfect, cam chain's perfect, so I'm not really too worried about it. I think all these engines that I've owned like this have a little bit of rattle like that. So we're just gonna run it like that. If something happens, something happens. But I don't think it will. Everything, like I said, is in spec, so you really can't mess with too much more to get that sound down, which I think changing the oil would help too. So, all right, let's start by getting this carburetor off and investigating that. All right, so the throttle slide was stuck up. Idling good now. That's the rattle noise right here. Feel it hitting that. All right, well, I got the starter out because for some reason it wasn't working. We're getting 12 volts to it. So let's just test this out quick. We've got 1 lead of the battery on the positive right here. And we're just gonna ground the other lead to the body right here. And we'll see if it spins. We'll be able to hear it. Yeah, so that's working. You guys can see it spin here. That's working just fine. So I don't know what's going on with that. We'll reinstall that and see if it works again. Maybe it's just a bad ground. Alright, check this out. Starter works now. Alright, the tie rods right here were really loose before. I just tightened them up and now there's no slop in there. So before it was like really, really bad. Now it's perfect. So that fixed that problem. That was easy. Alright, let's get this oil changed next. This was really black when we checked it. It takes 2 liters right here, you can see. The top right there. Gotta get the oil filter out of there as well, right here. And the drain bolt's just on the bottom of the engine. Pretty easy to get to. So. Pretty black coming out of there. No metal shavings yet, so that's good. Let's get the oil filter off. Oil filter looks. This will tell us if there's anything else wrong with it. Ooh, that is black coming out of there. So far it looks pretty good. No metal shavings in there at all. Oil filter looks really good actually. Put that off to the side. Let's just wipe it in there and see if anything comes out. Ooh, a couple metal shavings you can see right there. Very fine. So that's not great. Look at that. So I wonder what that's from. Huh. There wasn't any in the oil or anything. It's kind of weird. Look at that. Look at all that. maybe clutch, hopefully. We'll check out the oil after it drains as well. Quite a few. So that's not good. Alright, we'll get that cleaned out and then get a new filter in there, get the oil changed. Alright, so taking the magnet to the pieces on here. It looks like it is magnetic. You can see it picked up the pieces. So most likely it's either transmission that was grinding or something, or like a bearing, but it's not the piston at least, so that's good. Alright, here's what the oil looked like. You can see a couple metallic flakes on the top, but no big chunks or anything that I can see. We're going to drain it and just kind of pan for some gold here and see if we can find any chunks. Alright, so as you can see, just a couple metallic flakes in there, but no big chunks or anything, so not sure what that would come from. Alright, let's get some oil going. Again, takes 2 quarts. Alright, last thing we have to do before we take this thing for a ride is get the brakes working. I believe they're kind of stuck. You can see that one's not really working. And that one is not really working, so let's get those working, and then the back brake is locked up. The cable is stuck. Gotta get that loose. Alright, brakes are fixed. Now they work. Both of them. And the foot brake. Those were all stuck and we got them all loose. But anyway, we got her cleaned up, shined up, the seat's all cleaned, plastics are cleaned, and then I touched up the foot pegs with a little black paint, and then used high temp paint on the exhaust over here. So that's looking pretty good. You can see, it used to be all rusty, so looking a little bit better. But yeah, she cleaned up pretty good. Obviously it needs a pressure washing still, but just for now, that's kind of what it looks like. So now we will see if this thing even moves. It could just be the transmission's junk in this thing. I don't know. So probably should check that before putting all this work into it. But whatever. Let's see what happens. Alright, so this thing's kind of knocking pretty bad, so I think we're going to drain the oil again and take a look at the clutch in here, because it's just kind of acting weird when I'm riding it, so I'm thinking the clutch might be chewed up here. So let's get the oil drain, check it out, and then take off this cover and see what's behind there. Alright, so absolutely zero metal chunks in the filter or in the oil, so I think we might just put it back together and take it for a test drive at my parents', go full throttle, and just see what happens. Maybe something's just tight in there and needs to become loose. I'm not really sure, but I don't really want to take off the cover and then have to order a gasket and then test drive it. So let's test drive it first and then tear it apart. I think that's a better option. Alright, made her out here. It is really windy. It's really, really windy. Just cut down that tree. Take you guys back to the burn pile. See how this thing runs here. Man, is it noisy. There's first gear. Second gear. Third gear. Goes pretty good. There's the tree we cut down. There's all the wood from it. Chuck's truck. Ah! What do you got back here? Oh, that's actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
You can actually kind of lean back.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Footstool. A little high.
Yeah, a little bit.
Should go take this thing for a top speed run. Reverse works good. Steering's a little janky on this thing. Wants to steer all different ways. Yeah, on the pavement it's pretty bad. Toe in is so bad on this. Just wants to grab. We'll have to take it down a path here. Goes pretty good down the path. Drives pretty decent actually.
look up in there, you get a nail right through.
Oh, right here you can see.
They got the steel plate.
That's why it's so rattly. This bolt is just coming out right here. What is that held in by?
Dump bed.
That needs to be tightened up right there. She drives straight now, baby. So Chuck and I fixed the toe-in situation, and then we bent out the frame by tying a strap to a tree, going in reverse, and then we yanked that A-arm out of there. Straighten the back out. Now she drives straight. Look at that. Perfect. Alright, just got back from my parents, and the Bayou did really good actually. Once we straightened out those wheels and then bent that A-arm back, it was good to go. So this thing is done. There's still that top end noise. I don't know what that could be. Maybe the rockers, I'm not really sure, but I looked it up and they said a lot of these 220s have that noise, so I don't know if it's common or what, but it didn't shut off once and it ran perfect, so I'm calling it good there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for next video. Until next time, we are out.